He had it all: fame, money, and millions of fans chanting his name. But on October 11th, 2025, inside one of Britain's most feared prisons, that fame finally met its end. Ian Watkins, the former frontman of Lostprophets, once celebrated across the world, was found dead inside HMP Wakefield. He wasn't killed by chance. He was murdered, stabbed in the neck during a morning unlock. And as news spread, the world didn't mourn. It asked a harder question: was this justice or just revenge? Welcome to Behind the Crime Scene. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because today we're exploring not only the fall of a rock star, but the unraveling of a man whose fame became a weapon, a man whose crimes shattered the lives of the innocent, and whose death inside Monster Mansion feels like the end of a nightmare the world tried to forget. Before the horror, there was music. Watkins was born in Pontypridd, Wales, and co-founded Lostprophets in 1997 with guitarist Lee Gaze. They were young, ambitious, and relentless. Their debut album, The Fake Sound of Progress, 2000, gave voice to a new generation of alt-rock fans. By 2004, their follow-up Start Something made them global stars, with hits like Last Train Home and Burn Burn blaring through radio speakers across the world. They sold out arenas, from Cardiff to Los Angeles. To fans, Watkins was untouchable, confident, stylish, rebellious, and dangerous in a way that seemed thrilling back then. But fame is a mask, and behind it, Ian Watkins was living a double life. As success grew, so did his addiction to crystal meth, cocaine, and control. Rumors began circulating: erratic behavior, disturbing messages, women leaving backstage rooms in tears. But in the music industry, people looked the other way. No one could imagine what he was truly hiding. The man who once filled stadiums used that fame to commit acts that stunned the world. Watkins manipulated loyal fans, young women who idolized him, convincing some to let him near their children. Police uncovered encrypted messages, videos, and evidence that exposed unimaginable abuse involving infants and minors. In 2013, he pleaded guilty to multiple offenses: attempted rape of a baby, sexual assault of minors, and possession of extreme child abuse material. Detectives seized nearly 27 terabytes of digital evidence, one of the largest collections of its kind in UK history. The scale was so vast that investigators needed new hardware just to process it. One senior officer said Watkins had shown no empathy or remorse, calling him the most dangerous sex offender they had ever seen. At Cardiff Crown Court, Judge Royce delivered a scathing sentence: 29 years in prison with an extended 6-year license period, effectively 35 years. He told Watkins, "You had many fawning fans. You knew you could use that power to persuade young women to help satisfy your depravity." And yet, just a day after pleading guilty, Watkins joked in a recorded call from prison, calling his crimes mega lols. No shame, no empathy, only evil wrapped in sarcasm. After sentencing, Watkins was sent to HMP Wakefield, Britain's Category A fortress for the most violent and dangerous offenders. It's home to killers, gangsters, and predators, the kind of men who fear no one but despise men like Watkins. For years, he survived through manipulation, paying for protection, trading favors to buy safety. In 2023, his luck nearly ran out when 3 inmates held him hostage and stabbed him multiple times. But instead of being moved to a protected unit for sex offenders, Watkins was inexplicably placed on a general population wing, surrounded by murderers and career criminals. Why? Some believe he insisted on staying there, pretending to be fearless. Others think officials simply stopped caring. Either way, that decision sealed his fate. The man believed to have killed Ian Watkins was no stranger to violence. Sources say he's a 25-year-old gangland enforcer already serving time for another murder. He'd only recently arrived on Watkins' wing. According to insiders, he demanded money, promising protection in exchange. Watkins paid. It wasn't enough. On October 11, 2025, as inmates were released from their cells for morning routines, the younger prisoner struck. Watkins was stabbed in the neck. Other inmates watched in silence. Some say he didn't even scream. By the time guards arrived, he was already gone. Police arrested 2 men, aged 25 and 43, on suspicion of murder. Both were immediately isolated. A white prison van, believed to be carrying the younger suspect, was seen leaving the facility under heavy police escort that evening. Inside the prison, a full lockdown followed. Weapons searches, interviews, fear of retaliation. Officials, worried that others might target high-profile child killers next. It wasn't just about Watkins anymore. It was about control, and how quickly it had slipped. Outside the walls, the reaction was mixed. Shock, relief, even applause. Joanne Miedzelich, Watkins' ex-girlfriend who helped expose him, said she was surprised this didn't happen sooner. For victims and investigators, his death closed a chapter that had haunted them for over a decade. But it also sparked debate. Should the justice system have protected him, or was this inevitable? That's the uncomfortable truth of prison life. Even monsters are entitled to safety, in theory. But when a man's crimes are so sickening that even other killers reject him, protection becomes an illusion. And maybe that's what this case reveals. A system that punishes by turning a blind eye. Watkins' story isn't just about one man's depravity. It's about how charisma blinds us, how fame shields the powerful, and how society struggles to confront the evil that hides behind talent. He was once adored by millions, selling records, filling arenas, shaping a generation's soundtrack. And then, in a single courtroom, that image burned away. What was left was the truth, a man who turned trust into torture. Even in death, he forces us to question, what is justice? Is it the cell, the sentence, the suffering, or the silence that follows when evil is erased? And when we feel relief at his death, does that make us safer or just more like the world he created? Think about it. A man once protected by fans, record labels, and fame ends up murdered in one of the UK's most secure prisons. That's not just irony. It's a statement about power, consequence, and decay. He built his empire on control, and in the end, lost every ounce of it. Some call it karma. Others call it failure. Of the system, of rehabilitation, of humanity itself. But what do you think? Should men like Ian Watkins live out their punishment safely, or do their crimes erase that right forever? And what does it say about us, that when news broke of his murder the world didn't grieve, it exhaled? Inside HMP Wakefield, his death was brutal but swift. Outside, the silence that followed was louder than any headline. Watkins will never perform again. His victims will never forget. And maybe, just maybe, justice, in its coldest, rawest form, finally caught up. So, what do you believe? Was this justice served, or a sign that our system delivers punishment by proxy? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to keep uncovering the truth behind the headlines, subscribe to Behind the Crime Scene. Because here, we don't glorify monsters, we expose them, and the world that creates them. This is Behind the Crime Scene. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and never stop asking questions.